Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining in. Welcome to Vmaker webinar. And I am Lakshman. I'm from the Vmaker team, and I happen to host quite a few interesting people in the series so far. And in the list, I have someone really I'm excited to talk about as well. So we have got Will from Mailshake. I'm pretty sure you guys would have heard about Mailshake by this time. If not, you should definitely check it out. It's an email automation platform, and Vmaker is a video platform. So I was talking to Will, and we just thought, okay, why not combine them both? I think it all started with Sujan's LinkedIn post, wherein he said, the power of personalization in emails. And, I was wondering, like, why don't you use videos to create the personalization there as well? And he said, yeah, you should get in touch with my team and let's talk more on this. So then here we are, fast forward 2 months later, sitting in a webinar to discuss more on the same. So Will has been with the Mailshake team and he has his background with videos and now with email as well. So I couldn't think of anyone better to have here today to discuss on video emails, how to do it better, the tips and tricks, quite a lot of interesting stuff coming along your way. And Will, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to dive into this and how you can use video and really start today as well, because although we'll talk about like mostly the business side, how you can use it in sales and marketing, I'm a huge advocate for video. It's a great tool in general to communicate, and I use it every day, even just communicating with my peers. So we'll dive into that and all the different use cases. And I was saying before we all got on here that I have a background in psychology. And so I am super passionate about how to communicate better, how to display emotions and convince people and persuade people to actually engage with what you have to say. And video is exactly that method to do so. So got lots to talk about today. I'm excited for it.
Awesome. So yes, Bill, I'm not gonna delay it any further. I'm just gonna jump right into the question. So we have been talking about videos and emails, a lot lately, and since the pandemic started, I think it's pretty, a routine for people, to start using videos, whether they are in a meeting, whether they are consuming content. Videos has been an integral part of people today, and marketers obviously, we love exploring how good content or trending content types, put them into the existing marketing channel. So, in short, why should we use videos in our email today? Like, why do you think we should combine a trending content and then a channel which has been there for a very long time, even almost like decades and decades, since the invention, it's been there. So how to merge this, and why do you think it's the right time for people to use the same as well?
Yeah, so the first thing on this is, as a business, you need to try different methods of connecting with your audience. And as the audience consumes different types of content, aligning with that is really the most important part. So if you are a marketer in the 1980s, you'd likely be in the newspaper, maybe you'd be on some billboards, you would be on the radio, you'd try and get on TV, although it wasn't probably as popular. But you're trying to go where your community is consuming content. And video is a great format for essentially communicating the message of value that you have in such a short time, because you can do so much with video. You can have effects in video, you can play with the audio, you can have the expressions in the video, you can have movement. And they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So that means a video is worth much more than that. And so it's essentially going into the mindset of diversifying the approach that you have as a salesperson or a marketer, and really making sure that you're capitalizing on the latest trends. So the second piece to this is those trends. Especially in the pandemic world, we saw more videos being consumed in general. I think it was Google gave out a stat that was like 85 to 90% of all time on the internet is on video content. Now, when I heard that, I was blown away, because I was thinking, well, the internet is huge. People are reading forums, they're reading blogs, but it makes sense that most people are consuming video content. It's the most engaging. And when I reflected on what I engaged with most, it was video content. Instead of listening to a podcast, it was watching the podcast, because if I wanted to just listen to it, then I'll still have the video on in the background, because I get that dual experience of the visual and the auditory. So not only does Google say that most of the internet is watching the video content, but the workforce that's coming into the jobs that you're likely selling to, They are the newer generation. And we have the world of TikTok, we have the world of Instagram, we have the world of YouTubers, Twitch. All of that is video content. Most of it is not audio content. Some of it is, but it's a majority of video content. And so when you're thinking as a marketer or salesperson or whoever you are, you have to think of course, how are people consuming information outside of their day job? And the answer is video. And I personally align with that as well. And it's only going to increase in usage as we go as well.
That's amazing. I think one interesting fact was, how people have started listening podcast conversations in terms of videos. Even though it's just going to be audio, still people would love to, connect, and watch it over a video, because it just makes sense for people to see the expression, the emotions, made in the faces whenever they explain something. And I was, recently thinking about it as well, how exactly it would. And then, it reflects to the first sentence, which you just said, why you should make videos in your email. It just helps people to see those emotions instead of just hearing you, instead of just reading them on your text. But yeah, when people connect with emotions, they can engage better over the same. And I think that just takes one thing to the other. Nice. I think we're off to a good start. So my heart skipped a beat wherein I just wanted to check whether I started recording this. So yeah, I just realized that we are recording this. So guys, we will be sharing the recording as well to the registered email ID. No worries. And I think at the end of this question, I'll also share the bonus with you as well after this question. So please stay tuned for that. Well, I'm just going to jump into the next question. So you talk about videos and how engaging it is. And it's pretty clear, two things we have set things right, was number one, people do consume a lot of videos. And secondly, it's only going to increase. So obviously you have to use it one way or the other. So can we use videos on all the emails we sent? And, are there any specific type of videos which you would recommend, especially for this email, not just take anything and put, but just for email, is there any specific type of video which you would prefer?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say the best thing to do is to create categories in your mind of what kind of content are you sharing with your prospects or with your leads. If you are sharing blog posts with your leads, then the natural connection there is that if you make video overviews of your blog posts, then that would be great to put into not only your blog post, but also something like your newsletter that you're emailing out. And so once you have these categories, it'll help to understand where these actually fit in the funnel that you have. So let's use sales as an example. If you're doing an introduction video, you'd likely want that to be shorter because the person doesn't know who you are. They're not going to invest a lot of time in watching that video. So the type of content that will be is much more personal, much more relaxed. You're trying to build that trust, and it will be much more of a shorter form piece of content. Now, let's fast forward into later in the sales cycle. Maybe you're at the stage that you're giving the proposal. Now, here's a great time to, of course, employ video even further, where you could do a proposal walkthrough. And of course, because they're already engaged, because they're trusting you, because they're saying, I want to continue talking to you, you can make a longer video, but it'll also be a different format at that point as well. You'll do something like screen and camera, and you'll be scrolling through the document and talking over it.
Yeah.
And on the marketing side, so this kind of relates to Surya's question about live versus animated. On the marketing side, I would think of, again, how does your specific community consume content, and what kind of content do they like to consume? Are they businesses that are large and they're decision makers? Maybe they like a more polished video. Is it a startup? Well, maybe they like a scrappier video. Maybe it's a little bit more personal and not as polished. So I would say best place to start in your video journey is thinking, what buckets can I create videos in? Introduction videos, product demos, blog overviews, and so on. And from there, that'll determine where does that actually fit into the funnel process. So as an example, you could send a video in your first email that you send out to a prospect. And then maybe on the third or fourth email, you'd send another follow-up email or follow-up video with some more general information and so on. So the main thing I want to note here is it does have to be specific. It does have to be relevant to the rest of the messaging. And you don't want to send video all the time, And this practice of organizing into categories will help you to understand, okay, I already have this sequence, I already have this funnel, I'm already giving this kind of content at this stage and this stage and this stage. Now let's turn it into a video at that point. So it's not meant to be difficult. You're not reinventing the wheel at this point.
Yeah.
You're simply just taking your existing content and flipping it into the consumable video format.
Awesome. I think it's probably important to consider videos as a way to as a way of like extended communication process. It's not going to replace the existing chain of command, but rather, it's going to supplement the existing process. That's the right way to consider, if I get it. Like, you don't have to put it on every email which you send just because video is working, and then try to bank on the conversions, but rather just see wherever which is gonna hit the nail, and then use it wisely on those particular emails. Like you said, the first, fourth, and probably the final email that's gonna work. And one interesting thing I would like to share here is you mentioned about sharing the proposal walkthrough. Actually, the team here at Animaker and Vmaker, the entire sales team, they used to do that. They used to create a complete a proposal walkthrough with the screen and webcam recording with Vmaker, and then they used to send that, and they say that it just helps people internally to circulate it faster as well. It's easy for them to just copy the link, send it to instead of just downloading and forwarding a document. They said this actually increases the sharing process, and then obviously over the end results as well. So yeah, I could immediately connect to that when you just said that. Thanks for joining, adding that. So Will, what are your ideas to personalize this video engagement process? And when I say personalize this video email engagement, apart from just this first name, last name, and company name, are there any other ways wherein you can personalize this video emails?
Yeah, absolutely. So just as you would try to personalize your message when you're sending an email or a LinkedIn message or a connection request, you want to include relevant information. What does the person like? Were they featured in any blog posts? Were they attending any webinars? Do they love a specific sports team? This can all be included in your video. So what a classic one is holding up a whiteboard with their name on it, which is great. But I would say take it a step further. If they share that they love a specific sports team, then do the screen and cam option and have it on that website for that specific sports team. And you can, of course, try and make a joke of it or make it lighthearted and really just point out like, hey, I did my research. I know you, I want to connect with you. And it's not just me trying to sell something, it's me trying to connect with you. Now, on the more businessy side of things, what you could also do is you could be on their website or their LinkedIn page, because that'll show their name, that'll show their picture. It'll then allow you to maybe walk through their profile. And this all allows you to talk about specific things that are relevant to them. And that's going to help you stand out and help that video convert into meeting booked or whatever it is. So essentially, it's just like a part of your email process or your outreach process on LinkedIn. You're going to want to do that initial research, and you should already be doing it. And now you're just throwing in that information into a video. A really cool example that I saw was there was a guy who was lifting weights in the thumbnail of the video, and he was selling fitness software or something like that, selling to a large fitness organization. And who wouldn't click play on a video of a guy lifting weights? Because they're thinking, why am I receiving this email? This is interesting. It's intriguing. It's a pattern disrupt. Now, this isn't really about personalization, but if you can't think of anything, try and do something unique. Pop into frame, do a magic trick, show a puppy if you have a puppy, or kids do well as well because we're all working from home and it's very relatable. So if you can't find anything to personalize for, then just try and make it relatable, make it human. If it's just you waving, then that can be nice, but if you add in multiple elements that really do make it genuine and human and building that trust, then you're going to get someone to click play, and that's going to help out in the end. So yeah, I love personalization. What I do is I love the LinkedIn profile because it doesn't have me holding up the whiteboard. It allows me to go on their profile and I say, hey, I love that you did this, you accomplished this, And it's a little bit of fluffing them up, but it's also relevant to why I'm reaching out. And so, yeah, multiple different ways that you can personalize, but I would say get creative with it. And those main three examples, and I'll go through them again, are the easiest. Whiteboard, classic example. LinkedIn profile, super easy to just have the screen and cam option. And then the last one, if they maybe don't have their LinkedIn profile set up, go on their website, because that at least shows, hey, this video was made specifically for you, and this is why you should watch it. I put in the effort, and it plays on the law of reciprocity a little bit at that point.
That was great. So in short, it's more about tap into one of their recent activity, if not tap into one of the things which they can associate with, like their website, their favorite sports team, whatever it is. And if not, you can always try the one which always works, trying to show your pet, a dog or a cat. And I think that's something which usually works, that's a no-brainer sort of stuff. But yes, I love the, one line which we just said, and we've been preaching it, like almost everyone is preaching it, try to sound more human, like, be more human with all your communication, and that's going to help you yield the results more than anything. Yes, there are the templates and stuff which we need to follow, but all this a little creative touch or a human like touch, it's going to make a ton of difference in the way people perceive things. Great. So we are talking about this email engagements, how to personalize and all these stuff, but a quick question would be, how exactly should I differ between the ROI of this video email engagement? Now, yes, emails are pretty easy to measure. The ROI is pretty clear. But when I say video email engagement, how do I, measure the specific ROI whenever I use a video on it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best thing to do here is not make it complicated. You're going to be looking at a lot of the stats that you are already looking at. And
Yep.
so do an A/B test of text versus video. And of course, the copy will be a little bit different, but for the most part, the main difference is going to be that video. And when you look at the stats, look at how often do people open, how often do they click, and of course, do they actually respond based on the video being in there? That's going to give you the best idea of, is this actually working?
Yep.
And at scale, this will give you a lot of robust data. And personally, when I've run campaigns in the marketing sense, although I'm not personalizing the videos because I'm sending it to hundreds of people, I'm at least creating a video that is able to convey more information in a shorter amount of time and in a more engaging format. And what I've noticed is there's a much higher open rate when video is mentioned, and there's a much higher click rate because people actually click on that video. And then, of course, they go to the web page to watch the video. So I've personally seen the benefit in a marketing sense of higher open rate, higher click-through rate, and much more of a response rate, especially for marketing emails, because people usually don't respond to marketing emails, but I actually did get responses because it was me. It was coming from Will. Here's the video of Will talking with Will's face and Will's emotions versus maybe just the name, and then you don't know who's behind that marketing email. On the video side, it's really good to see like how many people actually watched the video. If you can get any deeper analytics on like where they click in the video, then that's really good too. And if they then convert off of that video. So do they become a customer? Do they click on your CTA? And tracking those analytics is really good as well. But I would say, yeah, no need to complicate it. You're really just looking at the same email metrics. And what I imagine you will find is you'll find a higher engagement rate, higher click-through rate, and especially in these days now where there's so much information online, people want this kind of content to help them along. Like we mentioned at the start, people are used to watching videos. So if you give them this medium that they do like to use or like to consume, then they're more likely to, of course, engage with it. And then that can turn into a customer more likely at the end as well. So in short, don't complicate it. Do a simple A/B test to see the initial experience for your community engaging with video, and then take a look at, all right, how can we scale this after that?
Got it. So keep it simple is going to be the key mantra there. You mentioned that you have been sending hundreds of videos, and I'm pretty sure the same goes with the emails as well over weeks and months. So have you had any experience? What tell us some of your learnings from by which you have learned over the past by sharing videos in your emails.
Yeah, so I use video everywhere. I use it in outreach to prospects. I use it in marketing campaigns that I do. I use it internally, and I use it with people that I'm managing a project with. There's so many use cases. And honestly, when I started at Mailshake, the first thing I did to introduce myself, I made a video. When I join any communities, I make a video. Hey, this is who I am. And no doubt I'm going to get more LinkedIn requests. I'm going to get more visibility in my company. And then on the outbound sense, I'm going to get more responses and more of a personal connection with my prospects. And so the things that I've learned is don't try and make it perfect. The ums and ahs are very human, and that helps the other person develop this trust with you. It's relatable because you don't seem like some infomercial person who's just trying to sell you something. You're another person. You're at home. You can see my background. I'm in a room right now with some plants, and I'm simply just making this video for you or whoever I'm sending it to. And so keep it simple when you're doing the recording. Like I mentioned before, for the stats, you want to do the same for your recording. You don't want it to be perfect. It's not a marketing video. It's not a commercial. It's not an ad. It's simply you connecting with someone else. It's almost like writing an email where if you think about how does this sound if I approached this person in person, the email that you write should sound personable. It shouldn't be, hey, this is why my business is great, and would you want to book a time with me? It's very robotic. It's very cold. And so you want to make the messaging warmer. You want to make it relatable. You want to make it personalized as much as possible. Same goes for video. And I would say for like personal videos that you are using to connect with people, keeping it short is good. So 30 to 60 seconds for any prospecting videos. For people who are already engaged, maybe 2 minutes as a maximum. And then if you have a well-developed relationship or you're deep in a project or someone internal that you've already met, then 3 to 4 minutes is likely okay. We got to be conscious of the attention span. The second point would be, so first point, keep it short. Second point would be conscious of your background and how you're dressed. You want it to still be professional, but again, it doesn't need to be super polished. I like to throw on a button up, even if I'm wearing shorts below, or have like a nice clean background. There's not too much clutter and it enhances the experience. Luckily, there's a lot of tools where you can like blur your background or whatever it is. So that's always a good option as well if you don't have the means to make it work in that way. Then the last two ones, they're a little bit more like camera and video focused. Angles definitely change how you look. So we've all opened up our camera, the front facing camera on our phone, and you got a double chin and nobody looks good at an angle from down low looking up. So same goes for any videos you create. Have it either eye level or slightly pointing down. That's always a good angle. And then lighting as well. There are many resources. If you just Google how does lighting change video, you'll get so much information on the quality of a video being enhanced through the lighting. So I have two lights. They were both like $20 or so relatively cheap. One's just more of like an ambient light, and then one is a ring light. Natural light is always good too. I have a window to my right, getting some nice natural light in here. And if I turn off these lights, although I have a nice camera, it just simply, it looks dark. It looks very shady. I still get the natural light, but it's not as good as if I have the lights turned on. And that's especially true for any like laptop cameras as well. They're very much so enhanced with lighting. So in short, keep it short with your videos. Be conscious of their attention span. Check your angle and the lighting as well. And lastly, make sure it's professional and that you're not in a bathrobe, unless if that fits with your outreach, but it might not.
That's awesome. I think, it's funny at the same time, it is very critical as well, whatever we just discussed. Yeah, I think Eric is saying, but we are an awesome shirt. Yeah, that do helps as well. Uh, thanks. Well, thanks for adding it. I think lighting, like you said, has been one important factor which I've been trying to improve as well, but unfortunately, I'm still in the middle of it. But yes, that's going to be a key, and most importantly, the timeline factor which you just mentioned. Just because you get going, like be very precise, and then don't try to put in everything in that video, and then just keep it short. That's going to help a lot as well. Any apart from this, any etiquette, to be very specific, while doing those video emails, which you would like to add to the above?
I would just say, like, you're still having like a business conversation. Think of the video as you approaching someone in person in the office or at an event. You wouldn't be looking all like unprofessional or like disheveled and whatnot, and you wouldn't be like you wouldn't be not expressive, you wouldn't be present. You really have to make sure that you are expressing yourself versus like keeping it robotic and whatnot. So it's thinking that this is a business interaction, and so I need to make sure that it seems like that, but not to the point where I'm in a full suit and I'm going to shake the hand and we're going to negotiate right there on the spot. It's much more of like, if you were to show up on the first date, you'd want to look nice. You wouldn't be in a full suit because that might look weird, but you'll be dressed nice. You'll be clean and proper and ready. And like the background would be clean as well, and so on. So that's the major etiquette I would say is think of you approaching them in the office or at a networking event, and speak honestly as well, because people can tell when you're being shady or slimy. If you're just trying to sell them something, be very honest, be very upfront. And if you personalize, that'll make it very genuine, and it'll be hard to be slimy at that point.
That's exactly right. I think, it's better to be upfront and then, honest about, if at all you're going for a sales pitch, because you're trying to be, really clever and, trying to put it in a different angle. Like, people have outgrown that for a long time. They actually prefer direct sales pitch today. Let's save time for both of us. What is that you do, and how is it going to help me, and how exactly do you think we can get started? If yes, if not, then let's move on. It's as simple as that. But I would like to recollect the first point which you just mentioned. It's more about putting there for a connect instead of selling something over a video. The objective here is it's not like, okay, they saw my video, they are gonna immediately take their cards out and get onto my website. No, that's not how it works. They saw your video and then they are interested to talk to you over a call, or probably ask for more information. That's what it should lead to, and that works actually. I think we are almost at the end, guys, and thanks for sticking on to us. We just have a couple more questions. If you guys have any questions, please do feel free to drop them in the Q&A section. I think Will is already interacting with some of the comments. I think I still have a couple of questions which I'll take after these two. So quickly, Will, what difference has video emails made since the remote working culture started? Like I said, it has sort of become a daily routine to interact, or create videos on the run, especially for marketers and salespeople today. So how do you think the remote culture has started impacting, and have you started seeing any difference with Mailchimp users trying to add more videos? Any such metric which you can share as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do see more folks trying to use more video simply because you're playing with the attention economy even more so now. Previously, people were doing their day jobs and you were cold calling them or doing outreach to them. But now they have more distractions. Maybe they have pets or kids, or like me, I'm in my bedroom where I have a TV and a couch, and the environment is different. And so more people are online. They're looking at screens more often. And so they are consuming a lot of information. So you're competing for that attention. The videos will help with that pattern disrupt, and more people are picking up on that. But I think it's not to the point where people are bored of it. And I don't think people will ever get bored of it as well. Yeah. It's not a gimmick. It's simply, if you're a salesperson, you're picking up the phone and you're calling, and you're not going to stop that just because you start video. You're not going to stop the emails or the LinkedIn as well. video is just another medium to connect with your prospects. And like I mentioned at the start, it's where people want to consume information, and it's the effective way to communicate information as well. It's not the only way, but when the phone became a thing for people to sell, people adopted it and they started that as their medium of selling. And same goes for video. It needs to be just like everything else because it does convert. So we need to include it. So I would say, yeah, the attention economy is even more apparent now, where we're fighting against TikTok essentially, because if you're at work at home, technically at home, and you open up your phone, you could get lost in TikTok for whatever, 10, 20 minutes. And so you as a salesperson or a marketer, you're fighting for that attention, and video is going to help to pull them back into the information you're trying to communicate. So yeah, always got to be conscious of the mediums that your prospects are consuming, and also the fact that more people are online, more things are going on, and we need to capture that attention.
Exactly. I think mediums, content format, and the context of the video. I think those three, because as you said, it is definitely on the rise, and it is going to continue to rise as well. It's not that people are gonna stop consuming videos at any point of time. Or to be honest, it doesn't even seem like people are gonna get tired of consuming videos. And if at all there is a new content format which is gonna take place, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a step forward of videos and not replace it completely at this point of time as well. Cool. So I just have one last question from my end. After that, we'll take questions from whatever people have posted as well. So guys, just before moving on to it, a quick reminder: if you guys are planning to get started, then yes, you can try out Vmaker to quickly record whatever videos which Will has been suggesting so far. It is a Chrome extension. We also have a Mac application. Just open the application, sign up with your Google ID, and then you can start recording videos right away. Okay, so I'm just going to jump into my last question now. Well, what are the tools you would suggest, to get started, to help? And I know there is the fancy tools like Premiere Pro and stuff, but for people to create videos on the go, without having to invest more time in learning the tool and then making it a new process by itself. So on the go with both from the videos and from the email side. So what would be your list of tools to go for?
Yeah, I would say give Vmaker a try. There's a lot of tools out there, but Vmaker is very accessible. Like Lakshman mentioned, you can download it and also add it to your Chrome. And what I like about it is you can do some cool editing with it as well. So you don't need the fancy Premiere Pro. You can add music, you can cut the video and then ship it off. And it's a pretty seamless experience. In terms of other tools, I honestly have only used just the video tools itself. You can get some virtual cameras that if you need to blur out the background or you want to be fun and add like filters on, then there are tools like that. Or if you're wanting to like do extra stuff, there's stuff that you can have like to make notes on your screen or anything like that. But I would say it's always good to keep it simple. So really just use a recording tool, and that is a good enough medium to send out the videos. And yeah, Vmaker is a great option to try for, of course, free. There's the free extension and you can start sending videos today. And like I mentioned, you can also use these videos internally. So if you're a little bit camera shy, then don't worry. You can always send videos to your internal team and get more comfortable being on video because they're probably not going to judge you. And again, it's only going to keep what you have to say top of mind as well. So
it's awesome. Guys, but make no mistake, I didn't ask him to promote Vmaker, but I asked him to try out the tool first, before we started this. But yes, thanks for the shout out from your end as well. Awesome. Then thanks, Will. Thanks for joining in. And it's been a great conversation from our end. I think people would have also enjoyed it. I could see it, from the list of questions which have been coming in. Started with hiring alert, which is always a good sign when people want to join teams. And then followed by some deep dive questions into video marketing. So great. Thanks for joining in and thanks for all the valuable answers. I really love the psychological touch which you put in. I could see it whenever you answered a particular questions. It's always there how passionate you were in talking about what you want to talk about. Thanks, Will. Thanks again for joining in.
Yeah, and thanks everyone for joining. Thanks for having me, and I'll see you all around in the ecosystem on LinkedIn, hopefully, if you connect. But yeah, we'll see you around. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. So guys, thanks for joining in. I'll be sending out the recording as well to the registered email ID. And lastly, do check out Vmaker if you want to get started with video emails, and do check out well LinkedIn profile as well. See you guys. See you in the next webinar. Thanks. Cheers. And bye-bye.